Welcome, my name is Mark Wright and this is Aspire Dating, where we aspire to improve your dating and relationships. Start to rebuild your life, bring joy in your life, become who you were meant to be, become your true self.
Aspire to make a difference.
In this episode, we're going to be covering how to handle a midlife crisis, or what is also called a Kundalini awakening. For me, this happened in 2016. I have what I call a spiritual therapist I work with. And for most of my life, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Star Trek, but I had pretty much been what you would call Spock. Very analytical. My background is I'm a systems engineer, so it definitely falls with what Spock would be doing in this day and age. I was not very in touch with my emotions and things like that, and other aspects of my being. In 2016, right around the time that we had the election, there was a big change within the world, and then I also had the personal change. I went through a midlife crisis, in some ways not really knowing that was what's happening, but I definitely felt there was a shift in who I was. And what's called my root chakra basically went from being nothing to being, here I am, I'm here now. And I had to figure out how to deal with that. It was a big challenge because I started feeling emotions, which I had never really dealt with in the past. I went from being Spock to having, hey, I have a little bit of McCoy in me too, with the not just being logic, being emotion driven. And also Kirk started showing up too with, hey, let's go do this, let's go do that. And let's start texting women. I'm like, texting women? Why do I want to text women? I'm happy in a marriage. Well, started doing things like that. I actually wrote the draft of a novel during that time. I mean, it had major shifts in who I am and who I was going to be. So one of the things I recommend highly for anyone going through this is to reach out, get help. Definitely reach out to friends and family you could, but a lot of times people think you're just kind of going crazy. What's going on? Why are you having these problems? A lot of times it's like, what else is there to life? People have guilt and shame, a lot of judgment of others. And that's why I highly recommend getting some help, talking to a professional that can really lead you through this. Many times when somebody goes through this type of situation, they end up getting a divorce, or their partnership ends that sometimes very negative ways. And in my case, it did. It was very devastating. And in hindsight, I would have gotten a therapist and a couples therapist and things like that. Don't know if it would have necessarily saved everything, but it would have definitely tempered it and made it a lot easier to deal with. But realize too that this is a process. You're changing who you are, but it's not the end of the world. You will recover from it and you will be a different person. But it's almost like going on a whitewater rafting. You're eventually going to go to where the rapids are not a problem. Your boat's not going to tip over, but it's a matter of hanging on while you do it. You're not going to go over a waterfall, but you're going to have some rocky times and how to deal with that. And it will get better. You will recover. Just don't make any rash decisions. Don't try to go back to the way we were, because it's probably not going to work. You will be fundamentally changed when you go through this kind of thing. Just hang in there, hang in there, and don't get too out of sorts. Get some advice. Be around friends. Be around family. Try not to go too far off the rocker. Try not to get too caught up in these new feelings and things you have. Not everybody will go through what I did in terms of the Spock thing, but some people go the opposite way. Will go from being very emotional to being much more logical and rational, and that'll change who they are. But it's a fundamental shift, very much like going to college or moving to another part of the country. For me, I did that too. I actually did move to another part of the country, but it ended up being a good thing all the way around. So thank you guys for watching the video. Hopefully it resonated with you and you're getting something out of it. As I stressed in it, definitely it's a wild ride. Next up, we'll talk about sometimes if it's not well managed, and you can end up getting what I call the bomb going off in your life. Whether it's something from this kind of thing where it's mismanaged and you didn't handle it very well, or God forbid, the other kind of loss where where your partner actually passes away and how to deal with that. So we'll address both of those kind of situations in the next video. Thank you. Please like and share this video with anyone who may benefit from its content. It's word of mouth from people like you who will help this channel to grow.